Hi everybody, welcome back. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tutorial on how to define a function in Python and how to call that function. And just to go into some background details for a second, the reason why I'm doing this is because when I was beginning to learn Python, I don't know if this is just something about me and my ability to learn, but I found the available tutorials online, especially those that were based on typed documentation, to be very hard to follow. And as I was learning Python, I began to understand why I wasn't learning from those types of tutorials. And so, what I hope to provide here is a unique experience that is uniquely defined to how I learned. And there may be some areas of how I'm going to go about explaining how I learned Python and how to teach Python to you, to my audience. There might be some overlaps with the previous ways of doing it, but I find it to be unique. And again, if you're watching this, please leave a comment and tell me what you think, if you learned, what you found constructive, and how I can better my performance so that you all can learn better in the future. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how to define a function in Python. So what is this blue screen you see in front of you? This is called the FAR3 viewer. You can see up here in the top of the screen. You can Google this and download it. I find myself needing this. It's like an organizational program. I can't live without it now. So I highly suggest you download it and then download Python, and simply you will be able to use Python with the FAR3 viewer. I think there's a lot of resources online that can show you how to download Python, and it should be rather straightforward. So in any case, whatever you use Python on now, it shouldn't matter. So long story short, you do not need this blue screen to learn how to do Python. So what I'm going to do is come into my Python file I made, and when you make a Python file, you have to put the name of the file and then .py afterwards. And this is how your computer knows this is a Python file. Okay, so I open my file, and today we're going to learn how to make a function in Python and call it. And for those of you who are advanced Python students, this is, painstakingly new. But for those of you who know nothing, I hope this to be a wealth of knowledge for you. So the first thing you do when you want to define a function in Python is you have to do this. So you have to type the word def, followed by a space, and then the name of the function. So we are going to call our function add numbers. Now, it could be any name you want, okay? We could have said def hamburger, def Coca-Cola, def anything. It doesn't matter, okay? It can be any name you want. And to this function, you must pass arguments. And, well, you don't have to pass an arguments, but here we're going to pass 2 arguments to the function because we want the function to add 2 numbers. So the first argument we're going to pass is first number, okay? And normally you wouldn't make Python arguments this large in terms of, you would just make a shorter name, but just to be explicit, I will type out the entire thing to be as exact as possible. So here I've defined a function, add numbers, okay, that's the name of the function, and it takes 2 parameters. It takes a first number and a second number, and then you put the semicolon. Then I'm going to go 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to add documentation to my function. This is crucial because you want to be a good coder, you need to add documentation to your functions. I can't tell you how many codes I've tried to read through that had no documentation, and it's just a nightmare. So let's add some documentation. This function adds 2 numbers. So it will return first number plus second number. Now, because of these triple quotations here, basically when we execute this Python program, this section within the triple quotations will be skipped. So you don't have to worry about this messing up your code at all. Okay, they're going to skip a line. And now we are going to begin to actually build our function. So what we are going to do is we are going to simply say, we're going to make a variable called result, and we are going to set it equal to first number plus second number. That's it. And then once result has been computed, we're going to return result. And so now, how do I tell the Python script to execute this function? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some comments here. Okay, this is where the file begins. Now, all I'm going to do is this. This is how you call a function in Python. Add numbers, and now I have to pass to this function the arguments. And so let's say I want to add the numbers 1 and 3. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to set a variable output, and I'm going to set it equal to my function. Now, when I call this function, Python is going to come into this function. It's going to say, okay, this is the function that he is calling, and okay, we're going to compute result, and then we're going to return result. So therefore, output being equal to this function means that output is equal to the result returned to this function. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is print output equals output. Okay, so now I'm going to save this, and I am going to run my file. How do you run a Python file? You run it like this: Python make function.py. So I press enter, and you can see here my output was 4 because I added 1 plus 3. Okay, now what is going to happen when I make a different, when I supply add numbers with different arguments? Let's say I did 103 or 114. I save. Python make function, and there it is. Output is now 114. And so that is how you make a function in Python, and that is how you call the function and then print the output. Now, we could have also done this for simplicity. We could have also just done print add numbers, and this would print the result of add numbers, which is this variable result which is returned. So I save again, and then Python make function, and there it is. Now we returned it again. Okay, so if you have any questions, I'm going to make these videos rather short because I find that I learned in chunks. This is actually a common thing for, apparently, according to psychology, people learn in chunks, and so little small 8, 7, 6-minute videos are small chunks in my opinion. And so next time what we're going to do is we're going to get a little more elaborate. So until then, take care.